the best smooth fade in the world. That's what that was. It was really good. Solid performance. How are you guys doing? It's me, it's iSlime. We're ready to do some things today. So if you saw on my Twitter page at all, if you happen to follow that or at least look at it, then you will see that I posted that I'll be on in 20 minutes, which now it's been 20 minutes, so now I'm on. Figured I'd start the stream 5 minutes early just to, say that it's up and running and make sure everything works well. And yeah, and if you were here for the music, if you like the music, then I actually made that whole thing there. That's not all of it, there's a lot more of it. It's about 7-ish minutes long, I think. And that's all F-Zero stuff. Now, it's an 8-bit, but what are you gonna do, right? I was trying to make it not 8-bit, but there you go. That's the SoundCloud name that I go by if I can actually move it. But we'll just overlay that on top. Yeah, so that's what I go by on there, and you can listen to that stuff on my Bandcamp pages, on my YouTube channel thing, or in the About section. You can go there and look at stuff. I was on SoundCloud for a while, but I kind of moved off of that because I don't know. SoundCloud was good, but it's gotten worse, and on Bandcamp I can upload as much as I want, so I don't have that restriction. My chair is the squeakiest thing in the world. We're gonna have to figure that out at some point, but yeah, how you guys doing? So, early this morning, I woke up, and I was like, I want to stream today, but what do I want to stream? And the night before, last night anyway, I made 2 thumbnails, one for Smash Brothers and one for Splatoon. I'm like, which one should I do? And I'm like, you know what, screw it. I'm going to do the Neverhood. So I made a Neverhood thumbnail and a whole border as well this morning, just so it could fit the game, because I want to show off this game. I might not show off the whole thing. Maybe I will, who knows. But, yeah, so I kind of wanted to just show off the game. So I guess we're going to do that today. I have the Neverhood all working and all that. It is using ScumVM, so if you happen to have that, or if you don't know what that is, it's basically just a thing that emulates old point-and-click games that were on like DOS and stuff, and Windows, old Windows 98 and stuff. So, it's got a lot of cool stuff. So, the Neverhood is from 1996, just so you know. It's quite an old game, but it still looks pretty good, and I really like the character it has behind it, and all that. And it was made by the Neverhood team, which turned into Neversoft, which made games like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Not the new one, though. They didn't make the new one. If they made the new one, they would hate themselves so much. But, yeah, so they did that, and it was also backed by Steven Spielberg, apparently, so that's the amount of praise this game had at the time. It did not do well, because at the time, these kind of games were kind of dying out, and we were getting games like Mario 64 and all that kind of stuff, so, it still is a really good game. It's just it didn't get a lot of attention, so it's mostly a cult classic kind of thing. So yeah, anyway, I want to get into this game because it's really cool. I already have it on a game that I started. I'm going to hit New Game, because it starts off right from the beginning and all that. I just have it on the options menu at the moment. I guess I could switch off of that now. There we are. That did not fade into it, it just kind of like popped into it. But, okay, fine, fair enough. So yeah, this is the game. I have a whole border for it. I hope it's not too bad, I just figured it'd be funny. It took a while to actually get all the assets for it. Apparently pictures of clay and plasticine are all like stock images, and you need to pay for them to get rid of the watermark and stuff, which kind of sucks, but I found a few. that had watermarks, but I got rid of them because it was really easy. So yeah, here we are. We have all the stuff on them, and yeah, hopefully we'll be able to play some of this game and it'll work. I tested out the sound, it seems to be good. So yeah, I guess we can get started in the Neverhood, and I'll try to explain some of the story without spoiling it. So yeah, here's Clayman. Now it doesn't immediately tell you that's who it is, but you figure out pretty soon that that's what your name is. So if you click, he wakes up. He's a little lazy guy. And well, we're in this room. So some of the things you see in this room are this thing, looks like a window of sorts. You see that there is a kind of hammer or something, some sort of door, a button. Let's press the button. Let's see what happens when we press this button. Well, it opens the window. Well, that's interesting outside. Let's go back here. What does this lever do? Well, I see that it smashes the door. Let's try that again. Maybe another time? Well, I see. There it goes. And that's basically the first puzzle of the game. It's pretty simple, but it gets you pretty... It explains the mechanics pretty easily. Oh, interesting room. Let's go out there. Well, I don't know where to go. Let's jump down. Maybe that might be a bad idea. Unless you're a little stuck. But it's all good. So, the Neverhood is a pretty cool game. Let's go down here. And it was made by the team that made it. The Neverhood was formed kind of by the people that made Earthworm Jim. And those are the people that made Armikrog as well. They got it kickstarted and all that. We have a mailbox. And there you figure out your name. Dear Clayman, please feed my pet flytrap. He eats ring food. I do not. Love, Willy. We will learn quickly who Willy is. Now, the funny thing about this game is I really like this mail area. I don't usually go to it because, well, I know everything that's here and all that kind of stuff. Claymeb, you may have already won 2 bricks of clay. Willy. So you get a bunch of things from Willy, and Willy has so many different kind of messages and all that. And it kind of gets funny if you keep reading, because then he starts to insult you, and you kind of wonder, why do you keep getting letters? Clayman, how do you spell Hoborg? Love, Willy. Once you meet his character, or kind of meet his character, you'll figure out a little bit more about his personality. Clay, send this letter to 3 friends or you will fall ill. Willy Dewan. Well, I see. Well, let's try one more time. Dear Clayman, you read too much, Willy. Yeah, and it keeps getting worse and worse. I'm not gonna do too much of it. It's funny, but I know a lot of the stuff that happens there, so to me it's like, oh yeah, I know all this. Now you can check back to this area at any time and it'll give you hints about areas you might be stuck on. So let's move this little guy. Now I know which ring to put him to, but you can touch these rings and Clayman will go on them and nothing will really happen. But I'll fall into the little thing and I'll get trapped again, we'll get spit out. All that kind of stuff. So you don't really want that. So the ring you move them to is a really easy string to remember. There we are. Now you can figure out what that button on the door does for yourself. But for now, I'm not going to press it. So then you go into this like 3D area and you can go to different areas and you can go up here or something or turn around the corner and go to other areas around over here. All that, we could go over there. Maybe we want to go over there. Maybe we can turn around and go back to where we were, which is in there. But where we want to go is over here. Alright, interesting. What's this on the ground? We'll just pick it up, I guess. We'll figure out what those do pretty quickly. Alright, so we have our first puzzle in the game. So it's a little slider puzzle. I screwed that one up. Takes a little bit of focus to figure out. So there we got all this on this side. I know what it has to look like, I just... There we go. And we glitched the sound. That happens every once in a while. So yeah, we got the puzzle done, and it makes an H. So now we can go in this door over here. Interesting. So I don't know what that is on the wall, but I want this on the ground first. Interesting. Yeah, let's click this, see what it does. Oh, I see. We have little tapes. And we can watch them. So this is how you figure out how the story works in this game. You collect tapes, and you put them into this, and you get to watch part of the story. Eventually, by the end of the game, you would have all the tapes, and you would watch it. Now, you might be thinking, oh, I don't need to collect those, though, if I don't really care too much about the story, or it's pretty obvious by playing the game, which there are things in the game, without watching these tapes, that tell you what the story is going on. It's actually an interesting experience, not collecting the tapes and playing the game, because you still figure out the story, but it's very subtle, and it's a very interesting game when you do that, and do it that way, so that's something you can do if you want. I'm going to show these first two tapes just to kind of get you into the basics, and it also introduces you to Willy. Again, it is something to say though. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't need to collect them. You actually do. There is one part of the story that doesn't need them. So you are technically required to collect them to beat the game. But yeah, so you don't need to watch them until the end of the game though. So, just a hint to anybody who wants to play the game without collecting the tapes, you still have to. But you don't have to watch them. Alright, so let's watch these first two tapes.
Hello? Me Willy. Me Willy Trombone. These discs tell a story. Story about good. Story about bad. These discs are all that are left of the true story. True story of the closing of the Third Age. Willy know that once you know this truth, then you know what to do. Listen, I tell you.
So that's all we know. We know that Willy is somebody that will help us and tell us the story. We also know he's not very smart. So let's proceed. And you also don't have to, you always have the tapes on you. They just go in every system universally. There are multiple of these, obviously. It's not just in there, so just a thing. Alright, well, we're in this dark room. Let's turn on the light. Ah, that's a little better. Oh, look, a glass of sorts. Oh, what's this? Oh, it's a button. Now we can go in here. So you see that there are little interesting things about the game. Different areas have their different styles. Ah, there's another tape. There's also a button on the wall. So a lot of the things that you do in this game aren't really known until, you know, later. So there's a lot of backtrack in this game the first time around. So yeah, let's just leave her, see what it does. Now I'll just keep playing. That was interesting. I'm gonna go over here real quick because there is a secret in that room that we need to know. So I'm gonna go press the light over here. And if you do that, then you can go back over here and go back in that room. And you'll see there's a green glove of sorts. Well, that's very interesting. Oh, interesting. So you'll see that there are 3 symbols. Now, this is a game where you have to write a lot of stuff down. Now, if you watch when I played Armikrog, you will know that that also is the case. So this is nothing new to anybody who happened to watch that. I'm just going to draw these symbols down. The symbols do change, by the way, so they're never constant. I had one written down before of things, and these are not the same. I was hoping they were, but they're not, so I'll write them down anyway. If we actually get to the section that requires that, well, we'll see. A lot of things that you get early on in the game are very useful later on in the game, so yeah. Alright, cool. So that's that. No, there's nothing really else in here other than that. So we can go back up. And if you went this way, over in this area, it's basically a 5 to 10 minute walk of nothingness to get to this room on the end, which has a tape at the end, which I told you already, you actually need all of them. Yeah, basically, if you go all the way, like, you basically were told to spend however long going from one side of the room to the other, and all that really happened was you got a tape at the end, so you spent a long time doing that. But luckily in Scum VM you can just modify it so that, hey, guess what, you don't have to do that. So luckily I don't have to waste anybody's time, and we can just pick up this tape. You can also look out this window at the end. Interesting. That's not really much use of us now, but does come in handy later. Also, we want to press this button again. This will be useful to us later as well. It's also nice to be respectful of people who want to keep things the way they are. So let us press this button. Because we don't really need them to be off in there anymore. And we can leave this building. So the art style for this game is very interesting. And they have some behind the scenes on it, and they have a lot of big areas just full of clay, making the overworld area that's kind of out there. I guess you could call it the overworld because that's basically what it is. That took them forever. It's actually very massive. Like, This is probably the size of like a small child, this building, so it's pretty big. Anyway. So we go over here next. And we're gonna go up over here. This is always a fun area to be in. Ah, I see. There's another tape on the ground. We'll pick that up, of course. And we have another puzzle. This one's quite easy. So what you do for this one is you're given this little menu. And this is basically representing the little thing that you saw. And everything with a little fuse on it is things that need to be on our little guy. So we already put some dynamite on it. So it just swaps places and you just want to... Apparently that does not want to work. Keeps clicking too much. Okay. You have to drag that over there. There we are. And we made it completely TNT. And he falls off, and he will be useful for later, like a lot of the things are. So let's go out of here. And we're out in this very open area. Now, immediately most people just end up going forward the whole way, but if you see, we actually stop right here. Where you want to go is over here, where there are these doors. We want to go over there first. You'll see there's this little thing, and you want to press this button. This will also be useful for later, and if you're observant, you'll actually know where. You also see there's this mushroom. Now, I will go to this one the one time. You know what? No, I'll do it the 2 times. I'm going to save it here, though, because sometimes this just breaks the game. We'll just save that, and we'll resume. So the first time clicking this, it's just kind of funny. Not claiming ate a thing, he burped. That's kind of funny, but the second time is even funnier. So that's funny. I'm not going to click it the 3rd time though, because the 3rd time makes him burp for about 3 to 5 minutes. I'm not even joking. Now, originally when I played this for the first time, I thought it was the funniest thing ever, and I couldn't stop laughing. Now I'm not going to do it, mostly because I don't want to waste 3 minutes of the stream just looking at a thing burping. So we're going to kind of avoid doing that. Now we're going to go back up over here, and go up here again. So this is where you're supposed to go originally. Well, this is very interesting. Let's click that. Interesting. Ah, look, a box. Oh, it plays music. Well, that's not a good thing for Clayman, is it? Clayman, you better run. So now we've gotten ourselves into an interesting situation. And this is kind of why I love this game, because a lot of the animated things are very funny in this game. Something Armikrog doesn't really have, unfortunately. I figured it would, but it doesn't. Well, let's light that TNT guy up. Maybe that'll be useful. If he wants us so bad, maybe we can give it to him. Oh god, Clayman, you better shut that door. There we are. Oh look, it's Willy. And that's basically as much as you see Willy in this game. I mean, you see him more times, but that's basically how you see him in the game, is by doing significant events and he'll end up being there. Alright, so we've done everything we need to in that area. Or actually, no we haven't. There's one more thing we need to do in that area. Let me go back here. So, you might remember, before that whole thing began, where did that weasel thing come from? And that's what it is, by the way, it's a weasel. That's how it's referred to in the game anyway. The song is called The Weasel Chase, so... So, if we go over here, you might remember the thing popped out of the wall. Well, can we go back there? Oh, would you look at that? Oh, what's this over here? You can actually get into these little car things which ride along the walls. These things are very useful, and you'll have to get used to them. The mechanics of how they work are very interesting. You'd think, hey, I can click on this little thing and it'll just go around all the way to there. No, it will not. It does not have the memory for that, so you have to end up clicking just slightly ahead of it, and sometimes that doesn't even work. It's very picky. In Armikrog, they fixed this quite significantly, and I still was not exactly used to Armikrog being as responsive as it was, so I was clicking like this, but you could just click to the area you wanted to go. In this is not the case. But yeah, we want to go around here and press this button. So that's all we want to do. And now we can go back around. Now there was another path to go, we'll have to check that out in a minute. They did know what they were doing when they made this. They knew how tedious it was, so I kind of know the exact planning behind that. So now we can go up there, and let's go over here. What's over here? Not very much. We can't actually go over there. We can't ride off or anything like that. So yeah, that's all we have around there. Those buttons are important, so we do need to press them for something later, which we're getting closer to. We only have one more area to go before we can go to a whole new area. Doesn't mean that you don't come back to older areas, just means that you're out of the area for the time being. Alright, so now we're at the door, and we can go back. So now we actually don't have to worry about that area now. believe for the rest of the game we don't have to worry about anything in that area. So, that area is very not important, other than maybe being able to travel to other areas way later, but for the most part, you won't have to go back there. Alright, so let's go to this building. Ah, interesting. Alright, what does this button do? Ah, it dispenses water. The reason it dispenses water is because we activated it earlier. If we didn't do that, we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing now, and we're using the glass from the other area. So you can kind of see from just that how important it is to actually go to certain areas, because we needed the glass to drink the water, and we needed to go to that other area to activate the water. So, it kind of shows the things you need to do. Alright, so now we can press this button. So what we gotta do is we gotta match the sounds up there to down here, and the reason and the way we do that is by spitting into them. I screwed up. Well, I gotta play it. I forget exactly how it works. I believe that is the correct way it works. There we are. Luckily I remembered it. So yeah, you just have to start doing trial and error to figure out what the pitches are. So
Hey, claim it!
Oh.
Say knock knock.
Now I believe that guy has a name, but that's the only thing he ever says in the game is that one thing right there. But yeah, so if I didn't remember that, it probably would have took a while to figure out. But I did actually remember that whole thing, so. Now we have a tape over here. We'll pick that up. I'm not going to watch them at the moment, but it's very interesting. Now, you might see something right here. You see these spikes here? If we did not press the button in the, as you would say, the Hall of Records, where we got the glass and all that, if we didn't push it so that they would come back out, these would be in, and we couldn't go up here. But now, because we did that, we can actually go up here. Again, more significance to other areas. It's very hard to get around in this whole area. Alright, so we have this button over here. That's the first thing I'm going to do, is press that button. There we go. I want to take this tape. I'm going to look out the window. Well, there's not a lot there, is there? Alright, and lastly, what does the string do? Oh god. And that is literally the only thing that happens. Does that have any significance to the overall game? No. Is it funny? Well, the first time it is. It just adds a little charm to the game, and I like things like that. That's kind of why, even though Armikrog is good in its puzzles and look, it doesn't have as much charm to it as it does the Neverhood. Even though Armikrog has voice acting in it and characters that actually do things, in the Neverhood, Clayman doesn't talk, but I feel like I know him more. That just plays the whole thing again so we can get out. It's a little picky on the sides. Just the ratio I have it at, but it's fine. We're gonna go over here, because now we don't need to be over here anymore. Alright, so we've pretty much done everything in this area. The only place we have to go to now is over to this purple thing. Let's go over here. very dark in here, but there's a door. So, if you've been paying attention, you'll notice that all the buttons I said that were important to press come into play right now, because if you didn't press those buttons, these would all be grayed out. Because we press that button, we actually are able to have these all activated and open the locks on these doors. If you happen to press the button and be curious enough to press it again and be like, oh, well, I don't know what that does, it would actually deactivate the button and you would have to go back and press it again. So they're very picky, but it's very clear what they do, luckily, based on the colors. So yeah, we've pressed all the buttons only once, so the buttons are working, which is good. So yeah, anyway, we can open this door. And that sound there is a sound of progress. It is a very happy sound. If you hear that, you know you've done very well. Alright, we're on this bridge over here. We could go over this area, but I'm not going to do that yet because it's not quite important yet. Alright, so this is a puzzle that we have, and this is just something we have to do. So basically what's happening in this puzzle is we have pieces down here, and we have to match them to this piece up here. But there are similar looking shapes, so we have to figure out the orientation of the shape that is correct to how it would fit in. So this is the first shape. This is the next one. That one is an upside down one, that's not it. This is it. I believe this is the same every time, but I never memorize it, so. We've got that one. We've got this one. And by the end, it's pretty easy what happens. So there we go. Now we have this up and down arrow. Huh. What does that mean? Well, apparently we can't do anything because it's hitting some form of water. Huh. Well, that's interesting. So, the solution to our problem is over here. We want to go on this little thing. This is a cannon. Now, how do we use it? Well, we'll figure out very shortly. So, we're kind of aimed at this little hole in the wall. Let's press the button. Oh no. We've done something massive. Well, that was interesting. We could hit this button again. And really all it does is that. Now, I want to show you something right now. Remember those symbols that we wrote down at the Hall of Records, those green ones that were going on the wall? Well, let me show you something. This is the one we already had. We can actually select our altitude with that. Unfortunately, that doesn't do anything. And we don't know the code for over here yet, so we're going to have to go back down. So, we don't know that code yet, but we'll figure out shortly. Anyway, let's go back in here, because I think we got rid of our water problem. Let's go back. Now, what did this change exactly? Well, we don't exactly know, do we? Let's go over here while we're here. So this is something that we need to write down a lot of things for. So I'm going to do that, and it's going to be hard to kind of remember all the symbols, because they only show up for a short number of time. And there's one symbol that you need to write down with a little description. It doesn't put the description, but you need to write it yourself to remember. Basically, it's interesting. We basically have to remember all these symbols, and then one makes an interesting sound, but it might be a symbol you've already seen. It's going to be interesting mostly because that sound is really, really terrifying. Not intentionally, just the sound sounds very weird, and it sounds really abnormal, and with the ambient sounds that are happening, it kind of sounds weird because it's not a sound that you would expect to hear in this environment. Anyway, I'm just going to say that. Let's go for the first symbol. So the first symbol was that. Okay, next symbol. There's something on the bottom of that. I don't remember what that was, but that should be enough information. There we go, next symbol. And that is the interesting symbol with the sound that I was talking about. I'll read the description on that, and we should know everything about that. We were lucky on this one. You're going to have to write down these symbols accurately because there are some symbols that look very similar when you need to use them later. Well, that's the popcorn ball. And that has repeated. So we have all the shapes to that now, because no symbol shows up more than once, so other than the one with the sound. So we have all the symbols now, and I can go without writing stuff. So those are very important for later. It seems very convoluted, but if you actually write them all down, especially the one with the sound, then yeah, you will know. Okay, so you might see the bridge is gone, by the way. I guess I should have pointed that out. I mean, you probably knew yourself, but yeah, let's go down the bridge because we've changed the bridge to stairs. Clayman is also bad at walking downstairs. It takes practice. Well, we're at least at the bottom now. Alright, so now we're down at the bottom area here. And, yeah, it's interesting. So we only have two ways we can go. We can't go straight. There's no reason to go straight. We're going to go over here first, because this is the important area. Now, I'm going to save it here again. Bottom of river. Let's just call it that. We'll make sure that that's there. Yes, it is. And we can proceed forward, because... Danger! Don't jump in the drain. You will die. Okay. Wow. Yes, you can literally end the game that way. That is not even a joke. This is literally the end credits for the game that are used when you actually beat the game. This is the same as a regular thing. So we could just make it look like we beat the game already, but we didn't. It's a very bad ending to the game. We don't want to do that. It's very disappointing. But yeah, this is the only place that you can actually end the game in a different spot other than the ending. So, just something to keep in mind. Do actually save your game without jumping in there, because you will literally end your game. I mean, at least you're not super disappointed, because it technically is an end of the game. I mean, you didn't save anything or do anything significant, but you did do something. Anyway, we're gonna go over here first, because this is basically the place we want to go first. We want to be over there, most importantly. I'll move my game a little bit. There we go. We're gonna go up here. So firstly, we're gonna go over to this area, where we need to write another thing down. We need to write this down. You need to also write down the colors, as well as the heights. So, just make your own forged test tubes. My pen is running out of ink very quickly, but let's not worry about that. Put a B underneath that, and we will write the next one, which is green. So it's important to write down these heights and all that, because we will also need this later. They will also switch the order on you, so you need to make sure that you really do know the colors. We'll be using this very shortly. It's important to go here first before going to the building on your left first when you come down the stairs. Also, hi to you. Nice seeing you back again. I know some people were expecting me to play Splatoon, which will be later, so if you're wanting that, I will be playing Splatoon later. Alright, and we will have to write down that down as green as well. And then this one is pink or magenta, or however you want to take it. Alright, there we are. So 2.5 and 1. Well, that's like a sixth, I guess. Alright, so we've gotten those written down, and now we can leave this area. You might be thinking we want to go over here. We do not. If you go over there, you just end up going to a dead end. That is very elaborate, and you feel really stupid once you go over there. You're like, really? There's literally nothing over here. And there isn't anything over there. So let's go over here. Got a lot on your mind, I see. Yeah. Happens with everybody. Alright, so we're gonna go up here because this is another area we need to go to. Just for story's sake, I'm gonna go over here. We don't technically need to, but it's a fun thing to look at. So, the Cannon Monument. This cannon was put here by, and a name is crossed out, and a new name is put down as Clog. It's very interesting. Now, I haven't shown that much of the tapes yet. If we've been watching the tapes, it'll be more significant. So the next time we go to another tape station, I will make sure to actually watch the tapes because it's very interesting. I'm gonna go over here. I will say this thing is very hard to control. Let's go down over here. You see there's a lot of back and forth. There's one more thing we need to look at, and this is the harder thing to find. I always forget where this one's located at. And yes, I do want to go down, I think. I believe going down is the better way to go. I forget exactly where we want to go. Oh, I believe this might be the wrong way to go, actually. Yeah. Well, I'll show you this one too, because we're going this way. This does not want to seem to be working out. There we go. So we'll go up here. Up here is Willie's house. So we look over here, then we'll see a lot of interesting things. We'll see his dad, we'll see his clothes here, we'll see some food that he might have. Looks like some rocks or something. Some very interesting things in here. Not very significant though. So we gotta go all the way back down. I do remember you from yesterday. What was I playing yesterday? TF2? Yeah, I was playing some Invasion. That's right. See, I can remember all you guys, but I always forget the thing I was actually playing. It's always very interesting. I don't know why that happens, but... Alright, so I forget where I have to go exactly. It's not super crucial because the part that we need is pretty easy to guess when we get to the actual area, but I would rather know for sure what we need to get rather than taking a wild guess. So I believe we need to get down to that bottom path. I forget exactly how we do that. The game's being very picky with going this way. Oh, I see. We need to go back down and around. So you see, it's very convoluted. Because now all we're really doing is going this way. Which is interesting nonetheless. So now we need to go this way. So basically we've traveled this whole thing now. So really the only area we can actually be going is the area I need to get to. Which just gives some tips about the next area. I shouldn't say tips, it gives you very useful information about the next area. There is some information you don't receive, but it's not too terrible. Oh, Clayman, I don't know what you're doing. I want to go back up there. So this is very interesting. I'm gonna write this down.
Now faster.
It gets pretty crazy.
Now faster.
So you might be wondering, what's the point of this? Well, it actually is important. We need to remember the song and where the thing is placed. So I'm just writing it all down. And what this does is helps you later with somewhere where you need to basically enter a thing in, and that is a useful thing to remember. So just pointing that out to everybody who wants to actually know how to do things in this game. Because basically watching this lets you know how to do things in this game. It's interesting too, I searched up a little while ago, somebody actually did a speedrun of this game, which is interesting, because I would be very frustrated to do this. Like right now, I can't go down right now, it's not letting me. It's, Clayman. Clayman's not going down, he doesn't want to go down. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, so apparently YouTube is telling me it's screwing up with the server-side stuff, and I can't figure out. I can't go down. I cannot go down, apparently. There we go. I've finally gone down. Apparently YouTube is glitching up and does not know what to do. That's fine. I'm going to keep playing until YouTube fixes itself, because my streamer, my thing telling me how streaming is going is telling me that I'm completely fine. Alright, we're going to go this way now. It's going to take us to this yellow building. This yellow building. We're going to go in here. Some interesting things we get is this tape immediately, which we always like tapes. Tapes are good. They're usually pretty generous with tapes. Now I remember there is a way to power this radio. We need to make it so that we can actually use it. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was so that we could actually use the radio. No, Clayman, stop. Stop going forward, Clayman. I think it was something like going to this door and going over here. Maybe it wasn't. Trying to remember. Just Give me a second. Some things are confusing in this game, and I don't remember them immediately off the bat, so it takes me a second. No, we should be good to use the radio. I don't know why we can't use it at the moment. There's something about it that you need to do to actually be able to use the radio. I just forget what it is. We can't go in there quite yet, so I believe it might be having to go up when the bell sounds. I think it's a sound thing, I'm not sure though. I don't want to show off too much of this game. So, I did say I'm not going to complete it, I just want to show the character that the game has, so. If I don't get further than this, then I don't get further than this, whatever. It's hard to actually keep clicking on this game without clicking on other windows on my screen. Probably move on to some Splatoon in a little bit, so start doing games that are actually more interesting to watch, but playing this for yourself is always a fun kind of thing to see either way, so I always find it an interesting thing to play. Yeah, it is a bell thing. We could try an Oink battle. There's not nearly as many people around this time. But yeah, I'm gonna stop the stream, put on some Splatoon after I'm done this. I'm just gonna see if it is a bell thing there. I believe it is. You turn it on and off. It's a toggle. This game is very subtle in those kind of things. It's probably the hardest thing to go down in the history of gaming. You have to go like really far. And then it's all good. Anyway, we're gonna move to our side and we'll go back to that building, and I believe we have it all set up correctly this time. If not, then I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but we should be good. Okay, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Sometimes it does glitch out in this area too, so there is that. Yeah, it should be good. I don't know why it would be. I'm just trying to remember if that's connected to an old area. I don't think it is. Oh well. I'm going to end this here, though, for this game. Just because I also don't want to show too much of the game. I want people to play it for themselves, but I think that's a good amount of the game to show for a little live stream thing. So, yeah, I hope you guys like looking at this game. The game's the Neverhood. You can get the Neverhood yourself online in places. I don't know the best place to go, but you can get it online and use it with the Scum VM emulator. And you can download that and get the game files, put it in and all that, and you can play it on your PC. You can play it on your phone too, because Scum VMA is actually on like phones and stuff. I think only Android, but it could be on iOS, I'm not sure. Actually no, it is on iOS, I do know that. And yeah, you can play this for yourself if you want to. And it's quite fun. It works really well on phones too, because it's a point and click, so you know, just tap and it works really well. So yeah, anyway, that's this game. I'm going to end the stream really quickly, and I will return with some Splatoon once I get everything set up, so probably won't be too long. But yeah, so I'm going to play some Splatoon in a little bit. I might go eat some food too, so we'll probably do that, come back, and we'll play some Splatoon. So you guys can obviously go do your own things, but it won't be too long, maybe half an hour, maybe a little bit longer than that, but shouldn't be too long. So yeah, we'll get into some Splatoon. We can do some private battles. I might do some regular battles to start off. Once people get in, we can start doing some private battles and all that sort of stuff, and try to do some experiments, because I do want to see some interesting things in that game. So we'll see if we can actually get that done. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this little stream on the Neverhood, and I will, well, I'll be playing some Splatoon very shortly, so I will see you guys then, whoever comes to join me. See you guys.